Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. I'm Star Sports editor Ryan Finley here with Greg Hansen. GH, you were in the press box last Saturday when Khalil Tate set a Division I FBS record for rushing yards by a quarterback. And to hear you talk about it, it's one of the most delightfully surprising sports performances in the history of Arizona.
It was one of those things, when you think back on it, I kept turning to people and going, have you seen anything like this? I wanted people to reinforce what I was seeing there. Right. But then as the game continued, I didn't need any reinforcement. Right. It was just a singular day.
For him, what was working and what wasn't? Well, it seems like everything was working.
Well, part of it has got to be Colorado didn't play well.
Right.
But the other part was just he's elusive and explosive, and I don't think anyone knew the extent to which he had those gifts.
Right.
And a lot more than Brandon Dawkins, who's a really fast runner.
Right.
And big and strong and everything, but Tate just has that
right.
make you miss thing.
Right. You compared him last Saturday to a guy by the name of Jeremiah Masoli.
Yeah.
And it's similar. Tate's a little bit taller and maybe a little lighter, but similar. I mean, you can look at him, kind of squint and see Masoli. Masoli became one of statistically the best 10 quarterbacks in the history of the Pac-12 at Oregon by doing that every game.
I think we were standing together on the sidelines in that 44-41 overtime game at Oregon won here.
Yep. In
the last 3 minutes, Arizona was going to win. It was going to be, the crowd was coming onto the field.
Crowd was on the field, yeah.
And I remember looking out and seeing Masoli, and my thought was, they're not going to be able to stop him.
Right, just run the football.
And 3 runs later, he scored, and Arizona lost.
Right. Ed Dixon, big player in that game, wasn't he? It's for somebody like a Khalil Tate, what does he do to energize this program and this fan base? I mean, we're at the midway point of the season. They are kind of what we thought they were, 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
What does somebody like Khalil Tate do to this fan base?
First thing that will be noticed Saturday, this is my opinion, they drew 36,000 against Utah, a ranked team.
Right.
I think they'll get 50,000 against UCLA.
Wow.
Because of him.
Because of him. And I think people are inclined to want to go to the UCLA game anyway. It's a good start time. It's against an opponent that people get excited about. I think they were looking for a reason to go.
Yes.
And this is the reason to go.
If it's the best performance by an offensive player in U of A history, you've got to go to the next one.
You've got to go, right. If people who didn't know U of A had a football team have heard about Khalil Tate since Saturday.
To me, the best performance before that was Trunk Candidate in the Territorial Cup when Arizona was 11-1 against ASU in 1998. 288 yards. He had 3 long touchdown runs.
Right.
Tate had 4.
Right.
I would have thought no one could ever surpass that.
Much less a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
And if Arizona had played at home a week later after Trunk's game, they could have drawn 75,000.
Sure. It's certainly interesting. And again, I think that's why you go to games. That's why we love sports. Is once a week you can see something that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And you've seen everything. And you've never seen this.
Not in college football. I mean, it's just. Have you?
No.
I hadn't either.
No, of course not. It's crazy. Real quick, Greg, and then we'll let you go. There was news in the Pac-12 this week that's notable because of how it went down. Gary Andersen at Oregon State walked away, tore his contract in half, and walked away, leaving something like $12 million on the table. I've never seen that before, but I never thought I'd see a guy leave Wisconsin to go be the head coach at Oregon State either. Is he just a different cat?
We've got to say that now.
Right.
I thought it was a livability thing because he's from Utah.
Right.
I thought he would prefer to live in Oregon, even though the Oregon State Challenge is so monumental.
Right.
That's what I thought until this week.
Right.
He's a different cat, as you said.
Right.
I'm still waiting. Down the line, someday I'm going to open the paper and read that OSU did pay him $4 million or something.
Right. Some booster gave him a do-nothing job the day he quit. Yeah. You're right, because it does not compute. You could walk away from what we call generational money.
Yeah.
We don't see any generational money in the newspaper business. But money your kids and grandkids can go to college because of the $12 million, let's call it $6 million after taxes. That's a couple of very nice homes.
And of course, he's probably already made close to $20 million in his career.
Right.
So he can walk away and still never have to work again.
Right.
And he can get a job as a coordinator at a Power 5 conference school right now for $500,000.
Right.
So maybe he's just not a guy who's worried about money.
If we're to take this on the surface, What a statement by him. To walk away and just say, I don't need this. You can take the money. Let's both agree it was a mistake and move on.
The money now Power 5 college head coach has is hostage money.
Yes.
He holds the school hostage.
Right.
Gary Andersen, to his credit, didn't hold Oregon State hostage.
Who do they hire?
There's a bunch of Pac-12 assistants who are hot names now. Guy at Washington. I don't know. There's nobody that jumps out at you to get a Pac-12 job right now.
No. It'll be, yeah. And that's not the Pac-12 job you want to get.
And Rocky Long at San Diego State, who would, if he was 10 years younger, everybody in the Pac-12 would want him.
Sure, former Oregon State assistant, a guy who's certainly a hot name, but he lives on the beach, Greg. He lives on the beach and he's 60.
And he doesn't have to play against Washington and USC.
Right. I watch them on TV. They have the better players most of the time. That is not the case at Oregon State.
No, he was at Oregon State when they went 1-10 every year, so it's not much different now.
Absolutely. That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.